What up? What up? What up? It's Tuesday night. You know what it means. Hockey Happy Hour coming at you live right now, only on A2D Radio. Got a ton to talk about tonight. Got a ton to talk about. A lot to unpack. A lot happened in the last week for the Philadelphia Flyers. Chuck Fletcher's out. Danny Briere's in as an interim. Could he wind up being the guy who gets the job, or do they look somewhere else? We're going to discuss a lot of this. We also got live reaction to the Flyers and Vegas Golden Knights going on right now, 3-1 towards the end of the second period. We're going to talk about some stuff around the league, some early playoff predictions, some fun stuff going on for you tonight. So hit that like, hit that subscribe, tell your friends to do the same damn thing, and let's go.
Oh my God! I'm embarrassed! He's flying!
Oh, come in. It's almost time.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of the Hockey Happy Hour, only on A2D Radio and powered by the Doc. That is Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, with 2 locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Check out our doc, make them yours, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Matt Sensuti has class this week, whereas I have none, so you're cursed with me, Rob Hovia, emceeing tonight's festivities. But thankfully, I'm joined by Brad Ryer and Brian Daly on the ones and twos for the most part on the show. Big show tonight, as Brian said in the opener. We're taking an early look at playoff scenarios. We'll also do some live look-ins and reactions to tonight's Flyers Knights contest. But first, we want to know, what direction will this Flyers organization go in the aftermath of the Chuck Fletcher firing? Tonight's poll is brought to you by BOAGGIO'S Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pie sandwiches, cutlets, and meatballs. If you mention A2D Radio, you get 10% off your in-store purchase. And the poll is tonight, Danny Briere will do enough this offseason to earn the GM title. Agree or disagree? Brad, I want to go to you first as from an outside perspective. Can Danny B shed the interim title?
He could, but I get it. And I think it could be a very good choice. But if you're the Flyers, you do have to make some phone calls in the offseason before you make that decision, don't you?
I think you have to do your due diligence. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, you can't just hand it to him without making some phone calls. I'm not sure who's available, and to be honest with you, it's not really my strength as far as hockey knowledge to know each general manager. So I couldn't really tell you like who would be somebody who would be absolutely available. I heard Barry Trotz is coaching again next year.
Nope.
So, no, he's not.
He's a G. He's going to be the GM of the National.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say. I thought he might be a good GM, but I guess if he's already doing it, then that's not going to happen. But I would definitely be just checking things out before I make that commitment. You know, if I were the Flyers, look, there's nothing really to do right now for the last 15 games of the season except evaluate the players. And, you know, then it's going to be kind of up to the ownership and see what they want to do. You know, if they want to keep him as the GM, or if they think that it might be a better idea to get somebody outside the organization. I mean, I think part of the problem for the Flyers is they keep going to the good old boys instead of going outside the organization and getting some fresh eyes. It's just my opinion. I'm not saying that that he wouldn't be a good coach. A good general manager. I would just look around before I make that final decision.
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's been an assistant under Chuck Fletcher. Yeah, he has learned a lot over this year, but he hasn't had past experience before. I think it behooves the Flyers to do their due diligence before you confirm. And that's why he doesn't just get handed the job. He gets the interim title. Brian, what's your perspective? Agree or disagree?
I thought I was sold on agree on this one, but I think I'm going to disagree with it. My big thing here with Danny Briere taking over is a huge lack of experience on his part. As a guy who's never really been in that position yet, he's worked under Chuck Fletcher for the last couple of years and probably got some good ideas on what not to do as far as signings and trades go. But I don't know. I personally think this is going to wind up being Ron Hextall all over again, where, you bring in a guy with a lack of experience but ties to the organization that doesn't really do much with it. Ron Hextall had a huge rebuild in mind. He drafted all these players. A few of them worked out. Some of them haven't. He worked some magical trades. I don't want to think this completely, but I still under the same breath, that's my concern with bringing in a guy like Danny. It's not necessarily that I don't think he can do the job. I'm hopeful that he turns this organization around in hopefully less than 5 years. My concern is his lack of experience in the position. That's what really gets me. And moving forward, we're really going to find out what he can do, whether his talent evaluation is going to be like. I get some of the rumors that are going around out there right now, especially surrounding Carter Hart in the offseason. Now apparently, he's added to the mix of Kevin Hayes and Ivan Provorov, which is fine. If you're going to go into a total rebuild, you're breaking a whole thing down and starting back up. I get these rumors. I get trading Carter Hart. And I'm not anybody in this tight circle that we have here and guys who come into the show every week know that I'm a huge fan and I'm a huge defender of Carter Hart. But if you're going to go into the full rebuild, which is roughly going to probably take another 5 years at least, by the time this team is competitive again, you're looking at possibly a 30-year-old goaltender.
Yeah, I get that perspective, but I think these rumors are unfounded because if you listen to Briere at his presser, if you don't mind me jumping in, Brian, for a second.
No, go ahead.
He avoided using the term rebuild as well during that presser. He focused on, his relationship with a lot of the players on the team, which is a strength of his, and the fact that there's a lot of good players on this team to build with. So I don't know. I mean, we all know it's a mistake, but even the rumors themselves might be a bit unfounded.
They could be. I mean, this is coming from a fairly reliable source too, saying that the Flyers are going to shop him. It's coming from Elliot Friedman. He's one of the more respected reliable names in
yeah, he's like Drager. Those two are kind of the the two you want to. The two, if they say it, it's probably going to happen.
I'm just going by what I'm hearing. I mean, it does make sense if you're thinking you're not going to be good in the next 5 years to trade off your biggest asset, franchise goalie. But Carter's young enough to where you could still hold on to him, build around this team, and win with this guy. It got to be a question of, do you have the confidence? Is he the guy? Because if not, you're turning over the reins to a guy with very minimal NHL experience.
No, hey, listen, I'm not disagreeing with you. I've seen teams do it. I mean, look at Anaheim right now. They're rocking with John Gibson. They've been rocking with him since he was 21 years old, and they've been in a rebuild since 2015. Right. So it's very doable. But the problem with this is, and this is why I'd be okay with trading Carter Hart at this point, is strictly what's his attitude going to be like in 3 or 4 years. Right. John Gibson's finally starting to say, hey, what the fuck are we doing here?
Right.
When are we going to compete again? Like, what is going on? That's my concern with it. Would I rather keep Carter Hart and get him at 29, 30 in the midst of his prime and go on a run? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the Flyers haven't had a franchise goalie in how long? It's been a long time. And this kid's a franchise goalie. Say what you want. This kid is a franchise goalie. Keep in mind, he's 24 years old. So, he still has a little bit.
You can't trade him. That's why I think that would be – it's really hard to – goaltending, getting a good goalie, a franchise goalie, is like trying to get a franchise quarterback. It's the hardest thing to do in hockey, is to get that kind of a goalie. And I think that's a huge mistake to get. First of all, I think the Flyers could be competitive in 3 years, not 5. Okay? I mean, the Rangers were able to do it in 3 years. Why can't the Flyers?
Love you, Johnny. Love the comment, by the way. Anyway, go on.
You can have Hextall back.
All right. Well, then there's that one, but the one before Johnny, probably giving a shout. All looking good tonight. All looking good tonight. In regards to the poll, boys, let me jump in because I'm offering a huge contrarian view here. I'm agreeing with the poll. I think they've been grooming Danny over this year for this very time, for this very job. And as I said before, from listening to his first GM presser, he already has a plan in place, and a strong relationship with the players, which I mentioned before, is vital. He could really pass the test with a strong draft. He's still in this role at the point of the draft, and he has a strong draft. That will seal the deal for Briere. I believe he will shed the interim title, and the hiring process is really going to revolve around getting a new president of hockey operations, since they are dividing the roles, which is a smart move. And you know what? Another smart move would be hiring an experienced front office guy who could fill that mentor role for Danny B, since there is still some wetness behind the ears despite his experience with this organization and others, and really be able to just focus on holding the team's vision for not only the GM but the head coach as well, and making sure that they're in unison. Now, I have a suggestion in mind, and this is where Brad might attack me, as most Flyers fans aren't going to like it because it's another former player. But my suggestion is you hire Chris Pronger as president of hockey operations. He served in a similar role as senior vice president of hockey operations for the Florida Panthers from 2017 to 2020. So he's got that NHL experience.
That's not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea.
That's what kind of I was referring to about, not necessarily pushing it too much with Danny. I think he needs somebody to be able to bounce stuff off of that has a lot of experience.
Right. Leadership ability or whatever. Talk about Pronger. He's had a wildly successful luxury travel company that's, very thriving, and they might have to woo him away from it because he's very, making mucho dinero, but this would be his way back into the game. And at the very least, he could maybe work off some of those lost long-term IR dollars from his playing days with the Orange and Black.
Oh boy.
Pro bono work, some of it. You know what I mean?
We're not gonna tell him that part.
Let me give some love to the commenters real quick. I want to scroll back to first commenter of the night, out the gate, out the limo, as Marcus says. Catch him on Thursday night. Ted, Flyers lost today. Yotes win. We jump into 6. He goes on with the Flyers regulation loss and wins. Habs and Yotes, we jump to 5. The focus is on the tank, and it is the final countdown. Our first commenter brought to you by Gleason's Bar. It's located at 6700 Mill Creek Avenue in Levittown, PA. Use promo code A2D for 10% off your order when you dine in, take out, or order online at GleasonBarandSteaks.com.
What's up, young dots? We haven't heard from you in a while.
Hola. How you doing? I'm all fired up for Team Italy in the World Baseball Classic, as you can say.
It's about Team USA, just absolutely mercy rolling Canada.
Yeah,
I guess they responded after that terrible game against who was it? Puerto Rico?
Canada did, or
the United States? Mexico. I'm sorry,
Mexico.
They rebounded pretty well last night. Where they get 9 runs in the first inning.
Yeah. I heard a 3-run home run from Trout. And I'm like, all right, this game's in the bag. I didn't even watch it. I was like, this is it.
Yeah, they got mad.
They got big.
Geez, Trey Turner batting 8th. Cedric Mullins batting 9th.
It's a dream team, but not all dream teams do well.
No, I know.
Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They had a dream team too.
Yeah. Well,
by the way, Flyers game's in intermission right now. Vegas is up 3-1 after getting a power play goal from Bavarsky, and then I think it was Teddy Kruger with the bump in front on the third goal for the Vegas Golden Knights. They just absolutely dominated the second period after a somewhat strong defensive showing by the Flyers in the first, Brian.
Yeah, it was a very strong showing. You know, there's a couple good chances by the Flyers there early on. But the second period just really got out of hand for the Flyers. You know, Vegas really amped up, and got a couple nice goals there. One from Ivan Barbashev, who was acquired just before the trade deadline. Nice little deflection goal. But, I thought the Flyers played a little bit better after that power play. I thought that power play was actually really, really good. They didn't get the point out of it, but in that same breath, they maintained offensive pressure. They kept Vegas back on their heels, not allowing the defense to change, really tiring them out. And after that, I thought the Flyers really had a little bit more of a bounce in their step towards the end of the second period. Let's see if they can rebound it and build off of that and get something done in the third period.
Absolutely. And do you think in these last games, as we see that bring up Tyson Forrester, we saw Desharnais come up and play some fourth line work in the last game. Not a healthy scratch tonight. Looking at the lines real quick, I really like what the top line's been doing this game, particularly in the first period. Owen Tippett's been a beast, and putting him with Frosty and Lawton has been nice. You got on the second line, Kevin Hayes centering newcomer Brandon Lemieux and Tyson Forrester. Noah Cates centering JVR and Farabee, who 24 games now without a goal, really struggling. Fourth line, Lazinski with Delorier and Bellows. Defense, Provorov, York, Sanheim, Risto, that we saw get beat on that third goal, out of position, flailing like a duck out of water. And D'Angelo and Sealer. D'Angelo has had a pretty nice game so far. Brad, what should the Flyers try to get out of this team in these last 16 or so games?
They've got to try to find an offensive line that they can build. I mean, I would try to do what the Rangers did with the kid line. I mean, again, I bring it back to the Rangers because obviously I watch every Ranger game.
That's your perspective.
Whenever the Rangers have Lafreniere, Kakko, and Hedl not playing together, I look at it that they're taking a step backwards when they do that. Right. I think what the Flyers have to do is they take their three top youngsters and put them together for the rest of the season and see how it goes. See if they can get some chemistry. That's what I would do. I mean, forget putting Hayes and Hayes with. I mean, I'll give you an example. And I don't really know the Flyers lines all that well. So, like, say you put Hayes with this is just an example with Cam Atkinson and Konechny. Okay, so that's fine. Make sure that you have like Cates and Tippett and Frost on the same line, something along those lines. Get them together, put them there, let them play,
right?
And try to get one good young line with some chemistry.
I think you're right. Now's the time to do that. Their overall philosophy has been putting one veteran with two youngsters on lines, and that's. That was good, Brad. That was good then to sort of absorb them like a sponge. But in these last games, now you got to see what these young guys could do together, chemistry, what you've gotten from those veterans. Now take it and get that chemistry for next season.
Yeah, let the veterans play together and let these young players play and try to develop a line that you can go into next year with that can be a legitimate scoring line, because the Flyers' biggest problem right now is they're not putting enough pucks in the net. I mean, that's been a problem all season, but it's really manifested itself in the last, in the second half of the season. I think that's something that they've got to do. They got to stop with having one experienced guy with two rookies. No, just put three rookies out there. What's the difference? First of all, Tortorella is a good teacher. They'll play defense, but let them play offense. Let them play together and see what you got. Because at this point, it's kind of silly. And for God's sakes, don't even dress James Van Riemsdyk anymore. What I don't understand why Fletcher didn't trade him for anything. I would have traded him for a bag of pucks,
right?
Just to get him off the team and to get that to get.
But you got to get fair market value. You got to get fair market value, though.
Oh, really? Why?
What? I think the bag of chips is fair market value.
Yeah, I mean, you're first of all, you're opening up a roster spot, okay, so that another young player can come up and see what you got. You've got to see what you got with some of these young players, and you got to let them play together.
Right.
You know, you got nothing to lose. I mean, look at the Rangers now have a solid third line because they did that with Kakko and Lafreniere and Hedel. You know, so you got 3 guys now that are playing pretty well, not great, but pretty well, and they're getting better and better. But this is what the Flyers have to do. Just
Eric, I think it depends on what he does in these last 16 games. I don't think so. I don't think he'll be a building block for a part of the future. But if he shows some grit, maybe being a good energy guy for the fourth line, you know, maybe they get him on a low dollar deal.
yeah, Brendan Lemieux's a fourth line player.
Yeah.
Can I say something? Is it ironic that he comes to the Eastern Conference and switches to his dad's number? He wears 48 in LA.
He wore 48 with the Rangers too.
He did.
Yeah.
He comes to Philadelphia and switches to 22. Do you think that's a shot at Tocchet? Or do you think maybe that's just to honor his father in a city where they opposed each other for however long he was with the Devils?
I think that's in honor of his father. I don't think that there is anything. I don't think Rick Tocchet has anything to do with anything. It's not like he played. It's not like he played against Rick Tocchet.
No, but his dad did.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like they had a big rivalry, did they?
I don't remember.
I don't remember those two really. You know, it's not like they had like 8 or 9 fights against each other. You know, that never really happened. So
yeah,
I don't know that that's something that I think it's just to honor his father probably. So that was Claude's number for sure.
It was definitely his dad's number. I remember that specifically because I hated Claude Lemieux that much.
That I hated him when he was on Colorado.
Every team that he was with, he wore 22.
Yeah, I hated him when he was with Colorado. Couldn't stand him when he was with the Devils. I remember when Adam Graves kicked his ass. That was one of the happiest moments of my Ranger fandom when he kicked his ass in the playoffs.
Real quick, I want to touch on Young Das's comment here because I've been saying this, I feel like, since I came onto the show 8 years ago. Ooh, 8 years we've been doing this, boys. Love it. Love it. And
that's
we
impressive,
keep going.
guys.
We keep going. So I've been saying this for years at this point. The Flyers need fresh perspective. I love the loyalty that they have to the Flyers family and the alumni. I love it, but in that same breath, you got to get Clarkey out of there. You got to get Holmgren out of there. I like that Fletcher's gone. He just absolutely destroyed that trade deadline. Sort of.
Yeah, he was terrible. Let's be honest. He was terrible. The only thing I wonder is, was he not allowed to make any trades? That I'm wondering. Maybe they were so.
No, they were negotiating with Detroit up until the deadline to trade JVR, but Detroit wasn't able to shed another forward to take him on. But he had no backup plan. You know, if there's a conditional type trade, you got to be talking to other teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was my chief complaint about
huge misstep. Huge.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Fletcher had to have somebody else that he was talking to besides in case it fell through.
Every other team pulled out. Every other team that he had even thought about that were rumored and linked to him all pulled out
because he was probably asking for way too much.
Right.
He wanted a third.
Getting greasy. Yeah, but I wouldn't give a third for him.
I would give up a third, absolutely.
Nah, I'd give up a fourth or a fifth for him.
If I'm a playoff
third
team
would be
right
fair
now,
market value, but I would still settle for a fourth or fifth.
Yeah,
well, apparently they weren't even giving a fourth.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, but keep in mind, Brian, he only had 14 goals this year.
And there was a lot of
but that doesn't matter.
We saw the influx of activity on the trade deadline. There was a lot of meat available that was finer, meat than JVR. Let's face facts.
Yeah.
Even Anaheim was trying to shed defensemen. They only moved one.
I was surprised that they didn't trade Cam Fowler, to be honest with you.
No, he's not going anywhere.
I guess he's an institution.
He really is. And he's still relatively young. He's not on a 1-year deal like Shattenkirk or Klingberg, who signed as a free agent this year. He's molding Jamie Drysdale. essentially.
Jamie, I like Jamie Drysdale. I think
He's
he's
so
going to
good.
be a real good player.
But anyway,
yeah.
jumping
We've been
back
following him
to
for a while.
jumping back to Das's comment here. If you can get fresh perspective and you can get out of this whatever it is that Holmgren and Clarkey are trying to recreate from 1976, they can really turn this organization around and actually be able to compete in this league. Because if you look, there's some really good skaters on this team. Sean Couturier, Owen Tippett, showing that he's a really good skater.
I got a Coots update, by the way, when you're done, Brian.
Cool. There's no high end talent. There's no high end talent here. And I get, there's rumors of Clarkey saying that, we said this and this guy didn't want to do this, that, whatever. Cutter Gauthier, big question mark. But, if you get the outside perspective and not guys who won the Stanley Cup back in the 70s or guys who went on a run in 2010 and lost, maybe something could happen. Outside perspective is never a bad thing, especially when you have two guys running this shit that has been with this team way too fucking long. I know people want to give shit on the ownership, whatever. I really could give a rat's ass who owns this team. But as far as I'm concerned, the two guys making the decisions right now is Paul Holmgren, Bobby Clark. And they've been with this organization running shit for too fucking long. Anyway, continue.
I agree with you. I think that's a big problem.
Yeah, but I mean, I question how much decisions are they influencing though? Because I mean, let's face facts, their role is just like team advisors. They don't really have an official, it's more of an alumni thing at this point. You know what I mean? But it's like having that Jerry Jones factor always chirping in your ear. It's the same effect. So I'm not taking away from your point, but you need a strong man that's going to make his own decisions. Maybe they coincide with their opinion. Maybe they don't. That's what you need.
And that's kind of what I'm thinking it is. It's not necessarily they're saying, hey, go after this guy, but they're like, hey, maybe if you're, maybe
dumb penalty,
we could persuade you here. And that's kind of, again, what I think more of it is than anything, but getting a fresh set of eyes and a fresh perspective in that spot where Holmgren and Clarkey are, I think would do wonders for this organization and guys that aren't even tied to this team. Because I really believe that those two guys are really holding it down.
That's what I was trying to say as far as Briere goes, Brian. They keep, it's always the good old boys network. They've got to get some guys from outside the organization, who have no emotional ties to any of these players.
Well, there's been one name that's been floated around from outside the organization, and we know him quite well from broadcasting booths in Eddie Olchuk.
Oh yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, but has he ever run a team?
Not really.
I mean, look, I like Eddie as much as anybody else.
He knows the game well. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, but does he know? Does he know like teams, minor league players, and everything like that?
Right. That's why I said I'm going with a good old boy, but at least he has experience though from Florida.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's. I think that
Vegas with a power play goal now 4-1, 16:50 left to go in the third.
By the way, I just saw the highlights of some of those goals that Vegas scored. I mean, the Flyers defensively are just
Anthony.
They stand around too much. It almost looks like they don't know. It almost looks like they don't know who they're guarding.
I think you'd have to give future considerations too to even out that deal, Anthony.
By the way,
it's uneven on the side of cocaine.
There was a question before about what the Flyers could get for Carter Hart, and if I was trading Carter Hart, if I'm the Flyers, I'd want 2 number 1s. Sorry, that's the only way I would trade him, because you know what? You cannot trade a franchise goalie that's only 24 years old. I think that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And the other thing is, they're not going to be bad for 5 years. They could be bad maybe for 2 years, and then in the third year, they could really pick it up.
I mean, if they
they're
hit on
gonna
the
be
draft
sitting-
picks, I totally agree.
And this is a Rangers fan's perspective, ladies and gentlemen. Hear that. Recognize that.
It shouldn't take 5 years. No way. No way. First of all, over the next couple of years, you're going to get all kinds of cap space. Okay, so you can try to bring in a couple of stars. Okay, and they'll want to come to Philly. I mean, Philly, the Flyers have always been a proud team, and there's no reason why anybody wouldn't want to come to Philly, especially when you got guys like Delorier and Brendan Lemieux on the fourth line who will protect you. Okay, that there's no reason why any star wouldn't want to come to Philly. Okay, other than cap space. Right now they don't have it, but you know what? In the next couple of years, they should have it. They could just follow the blueprint the Rangers did. Okay, if you're gonna make trades, try to get a lot of draft picks,
Yeah.
and then sign a couple of stars, and you know what? Then at trade deadlines, you can go out and play. Players will want to come. Perfect example. Right now, look, Patrick Kane came. Because we signed Artemi Panarin. There's going to be there's going to be some decent players out there in the next couple of years who are going to be free agents, who they could sign to improve this team. And that's something that they've got to do. And there's no way it should take 3 years, and there's no way they should be trading Carter Hart. Absolutely not.
I think a healthy Sean Couturier could do wonders for the turnaround for this team. Now, we've been minus one of our best players for over a calendar year now. And little news on Couturier, he actually participated with the boys in a non-contact jersey, but took part of the morning skate. He's going to look to practice with the team later in the week, looking to shed that non-contact jersey. And he's still determined to get back and play games this season. He came out and said the goal ever since I got surgery was to come back at some point this year. It's kind of something I've had in my mind for a while. It's been tough at times, not really seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but here we are getting closer and finally being able to at least join the team for the morning skate, maybe get a practice in by the end of the week and go from there. He said he's feeling good. So, that's right. Viva Italy, always USA too, but so I think the ultimate point is that Couturier is determined if he can get back just to get the ring rust off this year, it would be good to see. What do you guys like?
No. Eric's comment.
No!
That's good. That was good, Eric.
Good.
Always appreciate your wit.
But really good to see Coots back on the ice with the boys. I'm sure that's been helpful for his morale. And I don't know, Brian, I know you've said why not just hold him out till next year, and that might not be a bad strategy with only 16 to go. But I think it'd be good for the morale of the team just seeing, who you're maybe even potentially your future captain back on the ice.
No,
I think it would be good for him too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still saying that, just hold him out the year. Let him skate around at practice with the boys, and let him get healthy. There's 2 weeks of games left. Is it really worth it? Can you really shake off the ring rust in 2 weeks worth of games if he's even back in that amount? I mean, it's going to take him at least another week or two to get back into game shape. Is it really going to be worth it?
It's important for him
10
to
games?
get back on the ice, and just so that he can prove to himself that he can still go out there and play.
I think him being out on the ice and playing around with the boys, I think is going to be able to do that. And especially with the back,
there's a big difference.
There's a very big difference. I agree, but
he's also got to know that he can take some punishment and be able to. Be able to go out there, play competitively, and take punishment. That's something he's got to find out.
No, and I agree, but my thing is still is it going to be worth it for a handful of games? Because Lord knows when he's actually going to be back in game shape and ready to play. Could be a week, maybe it's 2 weeks, maybe it's 3 weeks. We don't know.
Well, if he's not in
he
game
may not
shape,
get cleared in time for the season too.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm saying. He's got to be cleared. Yeah, absolutely. Right. And that's kind of where my point is. Brad, totally get what you're saying, and I 100% agree with you. But the problem is, again, with 16 games left, how many games is he actually going to get in?
Well,
That's
I'm
my
going to give you.
concern.
I'm going to give you an example of what an example. Okay, and this is a baseball example. And Rob, you'll remember this. Okay, remember Noah Syndergaard when he was
I
with
think
the
I do.
Mets?
Yeah.
Okay, did the Mets not let him pitch the last weekend of the season after Tommy John, even though it was only one game and it meant nothing to it meant nothing to anybody? And he always felt like that was important to him, that he could go out there, throw a couple of innings. Yeah, it's important that he could go out there, throw a couple of innings, not hurt his arm, and just feel good and get back to playing again. I thought that was a huge thing for him to be able to do that, because then other teams could see him and say, you know what, okay, he didn't look so bad. He's throwing the ball pretty hard. He didn't get clobbered. And I think that's something that if he's capable of playing, he should go out there and play. It's not a question of whether he's going to help the team win at this point. You're not really worried about that. I think he needs it for himself. Just to get the confidence to go out there, get back into action again, feel good, so that he can have a starting point to get back to get to next year. Without playing at all, if he misses the whole season and doesn't play at all, it's tough, because then you have to go back to, he missed a lot of time last year too, and you don't, if you can help it, you don't want him to miss 2 years in a row.
No, but again, my concern is his health, and if you can hold him off until training camp, and he's going to be skating well before training camp. Just keeping him healthy, getting that back strong and 100%. What a move by Sealer.
Yeah, there's been some good play going on in this Vegas Golden Knights game. I'm seeing good play from Tyson Forrester. Has a team high 3 shots tonight, 2 hits in 12 minutes and 12 seconds of ice time. Looking good. He's getting a little more ice time now, getting his beak wet. We like it.
Oh, I love Tyson Forrester. I thought he played a really good game in his debut, and I think he's playing a really good game here tonight too. He had a huge scoring chance on that power play. Shame he found the post. But as far as Couturier goes, again, I think you just hold him out and just let him get healthy, get that back strong, and just let him build everything up in the offseason, and then get him ready for training camp.
You're about to see Sealer get rewarded now in a few seconds, Brian. Where are you at in the game?
11:29.
Yeah, you saw Sealer pop that goal.
Yeah, that was a pretty goal.
Nice. You kept at it.
Yeah, nice little move. Went top shelf. Beautiful.
I saw Eric throw up a comment there. If Coots does come out and shows that he can play well, would he be a trade candidate? I'd be open to it. You know what I mean? Because you shed paper.
I wouldn't, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
You get nothing for him if you do that.
Because at this point, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
You don't know what he's capable of.
Too many question marks, right?
Yeah, you don't know what he's capable of, and if you're another organization, you're not going to give up a key player for that. And I see Tom Wilson is back to being a douchebag again.
Yeah, you would need to solidify his resurgence back to what Sean Couturier could do before you think to move him. That would have to dip into next season. Maybe the team's still struggling next season. Maybe Sean Couturier is a trade deadline.
Possibly, but my thing is we know the type of player that Sean Couturier is. I think the only question mark that we have for him is his back. How's his back going to hold up? I think that's our
2 surgeries.
Any fan's main concern is how's that back going to hold? Because once you slip the disc the first time, it becomes a little bit easier to slip it again.
Sure.
Especially in a game where you're hunched over and you're taking hits to that lower back. One cross check, game over. That's my only concern with Couturier. We know
they could always
shave guys.
They could always shave the disc down, though.
Yeah, but is that worth it? How much more time is he going to miss because of it?
I don't know. I do know this, and this is just my father I'm talking about, not a professional hockey player, but my father had a slip disc, and they tried putting him in traction, and that didn't really help him. Then they shaved the disc, and a month later he was playing tennis.
Maybe it's an option. Maybe it's an option then.
I'm not a doctor. I'm just, this is the only experience I've ever had with a slip disc. So I would imagine it hurts like crazy, because I remember he was really, really messed up for a while. But if you shave the disc, it's not going to slip anymore. It's kind of like a herniated disc in your back. They shave it so that it doesn't, so that you get the hernia down and out of there. That's kind of what they do, what they can do. So,
well, they say once you slip the disc, it locks up your back, right? Like there's not much you can do.
No, there's not.
So again, that's just me. My biggest concern with him now. I already know that he's a 30-goal scorer. I know he can do it again. He's done it a couple times. We know that he's one of the best shutdown centers. He's a great face-off guy. He's amazing on the penalty kill. His presence alone is missing this lineup. And
For sure.
I get bringing him back this year. I do. I understand it completely. This could be a completely different game if Couturier is on the ice. But he's got to get healthy. And the fact that he's skating right now is great. You just let him skate, let him get stronger, and holy shit. Did Brendan Lemieux get his first as a Flyer?
Oh, I had the game off. Damn it.
It was either him or Frosty.
Oh, so now you got it down to 4-3?
Yep, 4-3 now.
Good.
Showing some
JVR,
grit here
Lemieux.
in the third. Grit.
Oh, Frosty with a pretty pass from Lemieux.
Nice. There you go. You see some, good hands on behalf of Lemieux. Maybe he could be a stick around.
Well, it's like you said earlier.
I think he's a good player to have on the fourth line, because he does have some ability. He can score goals. He's not, totally void of talent like a lot of fourth line players are these days in the NHL. He does have some touch, and he's tough. So that's I wouldn't, if I were you, I wouldn't be uncomfortable with having him on the team at all.
No need to buy him out. He's done, his contract's done after this year. This is why, I mean, honestly, what I said in that little reactionary video to when Chuck was first fired, honestly, JBR not dealing him at the deadline, getting something for him before his contract expired, was the final nail in the coffin of his job. So he'll be off the books either way.
Yeah, you don't have to buy him out now. He's gone after the season. So
yep.
But that's what I'm talking about with.
As am I. I must bid you 5 minutes.
That's why you have to. That's why it's so important to get some cap space. And try to be able to get somebody in here, to really to be the captain and to turn things around. Because you can't just depend on all your kids. You've got to get some really decent veterans on this team.
Totally agree. I totally agree. You got to have a good mixture, and you got to have a rotating door for when those vets go. You have the young guys who were young step up into that veteran role and be that same leader that they were when the other young kids come up. It's got to be a rotating door. You can't just be all vets or all young guys. You got to have a really good mixture of both, and you got to have really good locker room guys. I think the Flyers are on track as far as the locker room guys go. They just need to clear out some cap space, and as much as I hate it, I'm okay with JVR still being here.
Well, if it's on
for his leadership,
if it's on a very, very low contract, like for $2.5 million, maybe.
No, I mean, past the trade deadline, you can let him walk at the end of the year. But
okay. Well, I mean, listen, I would have preferred to see them get rid of him if I'm a Flyer fan, and open up the roster spot for somebody else to come up and see what you got. I mean, I know that they've been kind of doing that all season, but the fact is that if you take him off, then there's an opening on another line. So more guys get a chance to play, and that's kind of what they need.
Yeah, I kind of like what they've been doing. The last couple guys they've brought up, Elliot Desharnais, Tyson Forster, who we're seeing tonight. I think these young guys are getting enough opportunities here, but it's the ones that you think are going to turn into something that I like that are coming up. The only one that I want to see come up, and JVR being on the roster is probably holding him up, possibly among other things, is Bobby Brink. I want to get him back up here as soon as possible. I think he is. I think he's playing for Lehigh.
Okay.
Not 100% on that though. Let me verify real quick.
Yeah, I'm wondering because I know he's had some health issues this season. That's part of the reason he's been down.
Yeah, he's had a hip issue. I think he had surgery in the offseason or something like that, but I believe he should be back by now. Let me see. Go to my reliable source of. Oh, that's not the right one.
Hey, getting back to Carter Hart. No way I would trade him. And let's say I got 2 first-rounders.
Okay, so this is actually only giving me his NHL numbers. All right, let me do this real quick.
While he's looking that up, I'll tell you about EXP Realty. If you're looking to buy or sell a home or looking for a career, changing your career or brokerage, contact Alan Foyer of EXP Realty LLC at 302-682-8820 or visit him online at Alan Foyer at exprealty.com. Man, I butchered that read. Maddie, we need you.
Still did better than me. If that makes you feel any better. I think I found it. There's Miss List for months. Oh, Flyers almost just tied the game. Yeah, I think he's back.
Okay.
I think he's back. But I would like to see. Well, I mean, he's missed 5 months, so he's probably not going to get up here yet. He's probably down there conditioning.
Well, if he's missed 5 months, he should probably just be playing down there and finish the season down there.
Yeah, I'm not against it, but he's a kid that I've been very high on, and I'm going to continue to be very high on because he was the best scorer in the draft when he was drafted. I believe he fell to the 3rd round, if I'm not mistaken. He's going to be a really good player, and he's got size, he's got speed, he's got the ability to create offense, and he's not afraid to shoot the puck either. So that's going to be huge moving forward. If you can get him on a line, maybe put him on the left wing and let Cam Atkinson take the right. I think those two together could be pretty scary in Cam's last year. I believe it's going to be Cam's last year under contract.
Cam would be a good trade candidate.
I hate to agree
Brink.
with that, but
yeah, you want to let Cam play next year, so you can trade him at the deadline and try to get something good for him.
Hey, Rob, I heard that's your nickname too, Bobby Brink. He stole your moniker. I mean, I hear the rumors. I still think it'd be a mistake because even if the prognosticators are correct in 5 years, Carter's still 29. I mean, that's, you know what I mean? And as Brad said, it could be a lot sooner than that with the young talent on this team if you draft well.
Yeah, and if you pick up a couple of good free agents, you make a couple of solid free agent signings, it doesn't have to be 5 years. It really doesn't. All right, next year may be asking a little too much, but 5 years is not. It's not going to take 5 years. There's no way it should take that long. If it takes 5 years, you're going to lose half your players because remember the rookie contracts are up after 3, and then you have to sign them to 2-year bridge deals.
Right.
So you can't do it. It's got to be in 3 years.
If you handle the contracts right, you have enough cap space to be able to sign some of those guys back.
Right.
Oh. That's just poor puck luck.
Oh, that's the second time they hit that post tonight.
Yep.
The first one was on that power play with Tyson Forster.
Frost gets credit with the third goal for the Flyers.
Good. He should. He's another one, man. He's another one that's really been, really starting to flourish this year.
Yeah.
We want to see some of these guys. We've been clamoring all year for some of these guys to step up. I definitely think Frost has definitely been one of those guys. Tippett has been one of my favorite players this season. I think he's been one of the more consistent guys who's continuing to go up. You got to see Farabee in age 23 take that next step forward. He has to. You gave him a lot of money off of rookie year that he played phenomenally. We know he can play. We know he's coming off a nasty injury in the neck.
Those neck injuries usually take a whole year to heal, by the way, as far as getting back into the action.
And I was going to say, Jack Eichel had a similar injury. He had a rough couple of months when he came back, but he came back this year. He's got 50 points on the year. So he's finding his scoring touch again, and he's getting back to the player that he was with Buffalo. So
yeah, but it's taken him this year, almost the whole season, to really get himself going again.
Exactly, and that's what I'm getting at here.
Yeah, but you know what? Next season, Jack Eichel's going to be flying.
He's flying now.
No, but I mean really flying. Back to when he first came up. He's going to be flying next year. It takes a little while. It's like a pitcher. It's like a pitcher when they get Tommy John surgery. The first season back, they're not necessarily firing bullets. It's usually the second season back. It's the same thing with those neck injuries. It takes a good solid season of playing, and then the next season, when you're completely strengthened up again, and in total playing shape, that's when you really start thriving again.
And
it takes a while.
And the difference between Eichel and Farabee is Farabee's been playing pretty much since day one. When Farabee came back, or when Eichel came back in mid-season. So he didn't exactly really light the world on fire because he came back in like January, February, or something like that.
Right, and he wasn't all that effective, and they also gave up a ton for him too.
Right, and now you're starting to really see Eichel fall back into form. And I think next year we're going to see Farabee more back into form than obviously this year, having that kind of mentality.
9 goals, 20-something points on the season. Very down year, but hopefully the health can return. 2 minutes left to go in the third. Flyers have Sandstrom pulled out of the net. 6-on-5. Had a couple opportunities. Quick is it's been holding tough, been holding the post tough in this game, looking like a finer, younger self. A quicker self, if you will.
You with the puns. I've been surrounded by puns all goddamn day. I like seeing Forrester out there. I like that Tortorella is showing a little bit of faith in him early. Honestly, I like everybody who's on the ice right now. Oh, well, I don't like it as much anymore. But I like the faith that he's showing. Yeah, I like that he's showing the faith in the young guys where you have Forrester out there with Frost and Cates and Tippett. It's good to see because you want to see those guys in those positions. It's like Brad was saying. Now we're at the point in the season where we know the Flyers are out. We know the Flyers are selling. They're going to rebuild. See what you have. This is a perfect opportunity for that. You have all your kids out there in a pressure situation.
Barbashev again.
Yeah, second goal of the game with the empty netter.
Wasn't he a Ranger?
You were competitive tonight.
Yeah, what was Barbashev a Ranger, Brad?
No.
We
never.
I thought he was a part of the deal that sent. Who was it to the Rangers?
Nah, he was never on the Rangers.
Which deal am I thinking of?
Yeah, it wasn't him.
Bruce Nevich.
Oh, Buchnevich. Oh,
I
yeah.
thought he was a part of that deal.
No. That was just a really stupid trade by Chris Jury. He made it. He made a bad trade with that one. He messed up. He was so desperate to get rid of Buchnevich because he was going to be a restricted free agent and they couldn't pay him, that he panicked and he traded him for basically a second round pick, and that was it. I mean, just he blew it. He blew that trade.
What's up, Anthony? Sorry, brother.
He got Sammy Bly. That was the other guy they got. And Sammy Bly played 50 games as a Ranger and scored 0 goals in 50 games. That's not exactly that wouldn't be one of his prouder moments.
Both factoid here too. We'll obviously get into more of a playoff picture preview and around the league, but with this game now, it's the 68th game of the season for the Las Vegas Golden Knights. They're in a tight, hot race for that number 1 seed out in the West with the Dallas Stars. These 2 points help put them ahead 90 points and 31 regulation wins, whereas the Dallas Stars have 87 points and 31 regulation wins in 67 games. They're going to be playing later on tonight at 10 p.m. against the Vancouver Canucks, see if they can match and keep it a 1-point contest. But man, you take a peek at the 2 club schedules. The Knights have 8 games against teams currently in the playoff position out of a total of 14 left to go, including a matchup against the Stars on April 8th. Of the Stars,
Where is that game?
I'll have to look that up. Look that up for me, or yeah.
I'm on it.
Cool. Of the Stars' 16 remaining games, including tonight, only 6 are against playoff teams. So, got a little bit easier schedule.
Yeah, they have a massively easier schedule.
Yeah. Well, 2 game. Yeah, 2 game. Yeah. But at this point, we're talking only a few games left. Maybe massive is the right adjective, Brad.
Yeah, it's that. But I'll tell you what, you can't ever. One thing about the NHL, it can be very unpredictable. Look at the Canadiens tonight. Look at all the trouble the Canadiens are giving to Pittsburgh after they got absolutely run off the ice last night by the Avalanche. And I think they've scored 5 goals tonight.
Wow.
That's not something you would expect. Yeah,
if you're just joining us tonight, the poll is Danny Briere will do enough this offseason to earn the GM title. Agree or disagree, comment, and wherever you're watching us, Facebook, Twitter, on Periscope, YouTube, Instagram. If you're checking us out on the podcast, hit us up at the Hockey Happy Hour on Twitter.
That's right. We always there. The Vegas Golden Knights Dallas Stars game is going to be in Dallas.
Okay. Well, that's an advantage for Dallas too.
Sure.
Vegas is really good at home.
Dallas is really good at home too. Yeah.
Yes, they are. You have that Dallas at home. I would give them a big edge in a game like that. In hockey, with hockey is a built-in home ice advantage because you have to let the other team has to put their sticks down first on the face-offs, and you get to choose the line combinations. So that's
change.
Yep.
Last change. Yep.
Mm-hmm. You get to dictate the matchups.
Come on, David. You're better than this.
What's he saying now?
The Flyers are not eliminated from playoff contention. If you think the Flyers are making the postseason,
no.
Send me whatever it is that you're on because it must be great stuff.
A friend is a friend indeed.
Hey, listen, David, we always appreciate you, brother. We always appreciate you. You're always here. You're always in the chat.
Absolutely.
We love you, brother, but you're high.
5-3 final tonight. Official. Vegas takes it in Philly. Hurrah. Another loss. Another maybe step closer to Bedard.
Nope.
I think they're going to. Ted was making a good argument.
But I don't think they have enough to fall down to be even close to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to get to the Blackhawks and the Ducks level, and that's going to be hard to do. And the Blue Jackets.
I mean, the Ducks are climbing. Ducks are in fourth to last right now.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they're climbing. They're playing some good hockey right now.
Okay.
Go figure. It's the end of the season and they start playing well.
Yeah. Well, they have some talent. There's no question about that. They do have some high end young talent on that team.
For sure.
They just need some role players and a couple of defensemen who can still play that aren't past their prime. That would really help.
It's an interesting signing. Apparently, Lions just signed David Montgomery.
Ooh, nice. Hey, by the way, Don, I just wanted to mention to you, hell of a win on Sunday afternoon against Boston. That was a great game.
It was.
I don't know if you guys got to see that game, but that game was on national TV. That was a terrific game. The Red Wings got off to a 4-0 lead, and Boston came charging back. And then my old buddy Andrew Kopp put it away with the empty net goal to win it 5-3. That was a hell of a game, though.
Oh man,
Detroit played great for 2 periods.
I almost put money on that game where I almost picked Lucas Raymond in points, and I did. I took him in less points. This motherfucker had a 2-point game. I picked him in the under. This bitch.
I will say this though, the Lions pulled David Montgomery around Chicago. Makes me want to jump all over drafting Khalil Herbert, who's a great fit for that offense, who just got DJ Moore from the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of fantasy goodies there in Soldier Field.
Chicago. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And we saw what Khalil Herbert did last year. He produced when David Montgomery wasn't. If I'm in the 3rd round and he's available, I'm taking him. But I only play Dynasty, so now I have to trade for him.
Is there any way? Are we talking about the Flyers trading Draisaitl for Hart? Is that what's being asked right now?
Indirectly, yeah. He's Ant's curious. I like Ant because he brings up some fun questions like this.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Hart and Provorov for Draisaitl.
It's going to cost probably at least a number 1 first-round pick as well.
No more trading picks.
I wouldn't trade. I wouldn't trade Draisaitl. If I'm Edmonton, I wouldn't trade Draisaitl. Period.
Yeah.
They're never going to trade him, and they're never going to trade Connor.
No way. if they want out, if they don't make it past the 2nd round this year, they may say, "Hey, we've had enough."
Hart is from Edmonton. Just saying.
I
know it's my son, and I'll be pissed. It'll be another jersey wasted, but I'm just I
Draisaitl is a real.
That's
good
my
player,
closet.
Yeah.
Every jersey I have is a player that does not play on that team anymore. -1. I'm sorry, 2. My Cam Fowler jersey and my Adam Henrique jersey.
Well, this jersey becomes relevant
Hey, Pizza Man.
Hey, I still have a
doing a fantastic job managing.
I still have my Odell Beckham jersey.
You may wind up back in New York, just not with the Giants.
Don't no. Yeah, he might.
He might.
He went to the Jets. That would really kind of.
He might. Apparently, Aaron Rodgers will go to the Jets if they make a push for Odell. They already got his wide receiver from Green Bay, so
they got two of his wide receivers from Green Bay. Didn't they get Cobb too?
Not that I know of. I know they got Lazard.
But I heard that they're going to get Cobb.
I haven't heard anything on that yet, but I haven't really been paying close attention. Everything I got was from all our A2D content earlier, which if you don't follow on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, hit that damn like, hit that damn subscribe, get in on our content. Never miss a thing that A2D puts out.
Yo, if you want to take it a step further, become an A2D member for $9.99 a month. You can get some amazing perks, including shout-outs, members-only shows, appearances, and weekly picks from the Money Pot podcast. It pays for itself. Join today. Links down in the comments.
Okay, so Cobb is on the wish list, but he hasn't signed yet. Thanks, Greg. Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I know that I know that the Jets are trying to make that happen, but I mean, how much cap space do the Jets have that they could actually do all that stuff? I don't see how they can do all that.
Spend that J&J money.
Yeah, right.
Pretty much.
No, I mean they can afford it. It's just that there is a cap in football. So,
And that's going to be the ironic thing. Will Aaron Rodgers or honestly accept J&J money? That's
Yeah,
an interesting question.
he will. He'll accept it.
It's all green, right?
As long as it's green, he'll take it.
Hey, why not?
After all that shit he talked about the vaccine, I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
3
could get a
years,
little
8,
awkward.
3 years, and only
Exactly.
11 million. I'll tell you, that's a good deal for Detroit. 3 years and only 11 million is guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's 3 years, 18 million, but only 11 guaranteed. That's not a bad thing.
Well, it's a guy that's missed a fair share of games. You know what I mean? So, you know, I think that the contract's equitable.
Yeah. So let's see. So what do we have for the bottom 3 teams in the NHL? The Coyotes, the
Sharks.
Blackhawks, and who else?
It's the Sharks,
And the
Columbus, and Chicago. Well, I'm sorry, Arizona.
Arizona. Okay.
Verifying. Chicago in 30th. Wow, Arizona's got 59 points. So it's Anaheim in 4th, Chicago in 3rd, San Jose in 2nd, Columbus in 1st. Wow, and Anaheim is pulling away from the pack. Wow. With the worst freaking goal differential in hockey.
Man, I don't know where you're living, yo. But my
By
wind
20
is whipping right now.
By 24.
24?
Anaheim's at minus 99.
Wow.
The next closest is Columbus at minus 75.
Well, at the beginning of the season, they were getting the tar beat out of them. That's the problem.
Well, they're like always not scoring any damn goals. Oh, that hurts my heart. Oh.
All right.
Actually, I like this comment here by Anthony.
Hmm?
Yeah, but
At one point they're going to say we won out.
I can't see them trading Draisaitl. If they trade Draisaitl, they might as well trade McDavid too.
I mean, at some point you got to hit that reset button again.
Yeah, but those two guys are so good.
They are good, but you got to get younger too in some aspects. And sometimes, and as much as it sucks, you got to trade a superstar.
Well, yeah, they traded Gretzky.
Exactly.
So I mean, Edmonton could do it. I wouldn't trade Draisaitl. The only way I would trade Draisaitl is if you were, talking about one of the really young stars of the game. Yeah, the really, really young guys.
But the thing you also have to think about too is you think about how deep their offense is. We already know that their offense is stacked. Their big Achilles heel, and it's been for the last, I don't know how long, defense and goaltending. If they can get one or the other from the Flyers, they might be willing, if the package is good enough, to accept a trade to get Draisaitl to Philly.
They'd have to give up Hart though.
Well, yeah, if Draisaitl's coming back with the way Urson's been playing, I don't think it's going to be a huge. I don't think it's going to be a terrible thing, because you got Urson, who's 23, who's playing really good hockey for the most part. One of the things that we've always been preaching, and Brad, we've been preaching it with you this year as well. Flyers don't have a goal scorer. You bring in a guy like Draisaitl, that helps the Flyers out big time.
Yeah. I mean that guy is
Immensely.
Great. He's an unbelievable player.
You think I got Randy for Patrick Laine? Oh, Draisaitl, man. I might just come on air. We got that.
Let me know when that's going to happen. I'll remove you off the feed.
Draisaitl is a heck of a player.
If the Flyers landed Draisaitl, I don't know. I'd get excited. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but he wouldn't fit in with your. he wouldn't fit in with the timeline of this team, though.
Yeah, sure.
No,
sure.
yeah, that's the only
that's
downfall.
Sure,
there.
that's a good point. That's a good point.
That's the one problem.
Yeah.
I will always have the Mighty Ducks movies. That's right, Don. That's why we keep you around. I mean, yeah, Ted. Yeah, we are rebuilding.
We don't want Draisaitl yet.
Oh, I like how he said yet. I didn't even read that far.
You didn't say yet. Yeah.
I wasn't even gonna go. I
Yeah,
wasn't
you
even
know
gonna
what?
go that far, but
Ted, I'm going to tell you this right now, okay? If you ever have the chance to get him, okay? If Edmonton was seriously considering trading him, okay? Anytime is a good time to try to get him. Okay? Because he would not only that, would he put fannies in the seats? You know, that's the other thing, but he just changes the whole complexion of everything. I mean, that guy is just unbelievable. He's an unbelievable player.
yeah, he's like a final piece of the puzzle, though. You got to figure out where you are as far as your depth goes.
He'd be the kind of player that if like Toronto got him, they'd be completely unstoppable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's why I say he's a final piece. Like if for any rebuilding team out there, you have to make sure that you have the young prospects ready to go, and you know that you're about a year out from competing before you go out and make a deal like that.
Yeah, I agree. I
love Draisaitl. I think he's easily a top 5 player in this league. But he's a final piece of the puzzle.
Maybe a top 2 player. Because there's Connor and there's everybody else. So after Connor, he might be second.
But you can make so many arguments. Yeah, you got Connor McDavid, you got Leon Draisaitl, you got David Pastrnak, you got I'm blanking on a couple guys right now, but I mean, you could probably still throw Al Ovechkin into the conversation. Who's the other Nikita Kucherov. There's 2 specific guys I was literally just thinking about.
Well, the guy at Dallas is pretty darn good.
Jason Robertson.
Yep.
There's a ton of guys that you can throw into the argument. That's why I say he's a top 5. I don't necessarily know if I would probably put Connor McDavid and David Pastrnak as my 1 and 2.
Okay, you could do that.
And then you argue, then you argue, maybe you say Draisaitl's a top 3. Austin Matthews, you could throw him to the top 5. Mitch Marner, you could throw him to the top 5.
Nate McKinnon,
you can throw him to the top 5. You know, there's so many different ways you can go.
Yeah. Draisaitl is a goal scorer. That's why I like him. I like guys that put the puck in there. I mean, I don't mind guys who get a lot of assists. That's fine, but I like guys who can score. There's just something about a goal scorer that kind of changes a guy that likes to shoot the puck. Like my guy Mika Zibanejad today, with two more against one of his favorite teams, the Washington Capitals. It's amazing how he kills the Capitals, by the way. That's the team he scored 5 against. Thought he might do it again tonight. He had 2 in the first period, but he didn't get the hat trick, unfortunately.
What's up, Prez? Glad you could join us. Coming in for, since we're talking about players from around the league, and Brad's giving our Rangers update here.
Oh, they won 5-3, by the way.
5-3. Oh, yes. A very common score this evening.
Yes, they won 5. They scored an empty net goal against what? They let Washington get back to 4-3, and then Washington had a power play to try to tie it, and they didn't score. So this
is the same game script that we just saw with Knights and Flyers. Same game script.
Yeah. The Rangers had a 4-1 lead. They gave up a couple of goals in the third period because they came out sleeping, and then they woke the hell up, and Washington didn't in the air. Yeah, they weren't able to get in there. Yeah, it was the same script. Seems like a lot of hockey games are the same script, though, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I was thinking it.
Seems a little fixed. I
think all sports are fixed now that betting's been like this huge thing.
Hey, it's not warmer yet in New Jersey, but maybe eventually it will be. And eventually the boys down at All Campus will be open up their doors on the Ocean City Boardwalk. It's the home of the ATD ramp booth. Hey, once they're open, 20% off everything in the store, including hats, shirts, team cornhole sets to all of our subscribers. So check them out. Check them out online. John Coyle's always around, help you out, get what you need, get yourselves ready for Philly season coming up. I know that everyone's geeked up with Trey Turner.
Yeah.
But just pulling up here, taking a look at what the current playoffs would have. If today was the final day of the regular season, these would be our matchups. Since we were already talking out in the Western Conference, I'll go there where you'll have in a first round matchup, the Dallas Stars versus the Edmonton Oilers. That sounds very intriguing, very juicy. Minnesota Wild versus the Winnipeg Jets. Vegas Golden Knights versus the Colorado Avalanche, and Los Angeles Kings versus the Seattle Kraken. That's a lot of talent, especially if you consider what the Kraken have done this season to be still what we thought was a pretender earlier in the season. They've solidified themselves as a potential contender out there in the West. On the Eastern side, we got Boston versus the Islanders in round one, Maple Leafs Lightning, Hurricanes Pittsburgh, and New Jersey Devils versus Brad's New York Rangers.
Ooh.
I really would rather play the Canes in the first round than the Devils, to be honest with you, because we own the Canes.
Oh, okay. Match up well, yeah.
Yeah, you match up well. And right now, the Canes are without their best player, and he's not going to be back anytime soon. Andrei Svechnikov out with the ACL tear.
Yeah,
he's done for the year, and he's done for the playoffs. So now's the time to pounce on the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah, except they just beat Winnipeg, and then the Devils lost to Tampa Bay tonight. And by the way, the Pittsburgh Penguins, after getting that lucky win against the Rangers on Sunday afternoon because of a silly penalty that probably shouldn't have been called, went down to the Montreal Canadiens at home. The Canadiens, for crying out loud. The Canadiens, who gave up 8 goals the night before to the Colorado Avalanche and were literally booed off their home ice, go down to Pittsburgh and fall 2-0 in that game, and come back and score 4 goals in the first period, and then hang on and win 5-3. That's a horrible loss for the Pittsburgh Penguins, who've been dreaming about trying to catch the Rangers for the 3 spot. They were talking about it an awful lot on Sunday afternoon, but you know what? It's not going to happen when you lose to the Canadiens at home. I'm sorry. Not this time of the year. It's one thing to lose to them in the middle of the season, but not in March.
Not down the stretch, yeah.
No. Real quick, boys, here, real quick. Frankie James chiming in with us, saying he wants to come on here and talk. Frankie James, one of our newest guys here on A2D Radio. Check out his show. I believe it's Frank the Tank. Keep an eye out for it. Not sure when he's debuting yet. We've already made the official announcement at A2D, so let's welcome Frankie. And
welcome
another hockey guy. So we got another full-on hockey show here. So A2D's growing. Hockey's growing with the city. Give Frankie some love. Throw your shit up here, Frankie, and let him know where to follow you.
See.
Because I need to know where to follow you, too.
So what matchups? I mean, like in terms of, we can break them down one by one, or if you just want to jump around, boys. What matchups intrigue you? Where do you see a potential upset?
Ooh, so I want to jump around here.
Sure.
LA and Seattle, incredibly intriguing to me. 2 young teams with goaltending that really needs to prove themselves. Solid defense. I think the one thing I love about these teams is they're blue collar teams. They're teams that work hard. They're not flashy at all. They're gonna beat you the right way. They're gonna play a gritty game. They're gonna fight hard, and they're gonna work hard for everything. I think that's gonna be a very hard fought 7-game series. I would love to see Seattle win it.
I know you would.
because I hate LA, but LA has so many good pieces.
Well, so
in
do
place,
I.
but
So do I, because they cheated in 2013-14.
sure they did. Anyway, sure they did. It's just like the Blackhawks cheated in 2010, and every other team that faced Anaheim in the Western Conference Finals cheated too. But anyway, that's probably the most intriguing matchup for me, especially considering everything that Vegas has gone through. And now you have the Seattle Kraken going into their second season where everybody thought they absolutely roasted their expansion draft, proving a lot of people wrong here. Drafting great, getting Matty Beniers, going out and getting guys like Andre Burakovsky, solidifying goaltending. You have Philip Grubauer and you got Martin Jones. You know, Martin Grubauer made this whole fuss about him being a number one goaltender. Could certainly prove he kind of proved it in Colorado. I think he's certainly more proving it in Seattle. And they went out and just made the right moves after the expansion draft, and I think that's what made it more impressive to me than the Vegas draft. Because you had Vegas just go out and they essentially just took the best players. And look at what they've done. I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought Vegas has gone out and made some really good moves as far as drafting, but more along the lines they made their splashes via the trade deadline and free agency. I think with what Seattle's doing is more impressive because they went after younger players. They went after maybe some guys that weren't quite ready yet, but now they're starting to really prove themselves.
Right.
And
Seattle to me is the hardest working team in the NHL,
which is why they're where they are.
They are not a very talented hockey team, but they really, really play hard. You know, and
every night.
They come at you 100% every night. That's one of the main reasons. And they've got good defense, and they're a good defensive team, and they've got strong goaltending.
Right.
You know, if they could score a little bit more, then you know it would really help them out. But that they don't get outworked ever. And even when they fall behind, they got the ability to come back because they don't stop. They don't give up. And I can absolutely talk about that. By the way, the Blackhawks Prism are currently ahead of the Bruins 1-0 midway through the second period.
For now.
The fact that they're ahead of them at any point in the game is stunning to me.
I mean, I'm surprised Don didn't talk a lot of shit when the Red Wings beat the Bruins the other night. Fuck.
Yeah, that was a big win for them. And they really the first two periods they were just unbelievable, the Red Wings. I mean, they were dominating that game. I mean, Boston obviously woke up in the third period and came close, but
what's that old saying, Rob? Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Yes,
that is correct, sir.
I believe Gorilla Monsoon kind of coined that, didn't he?
Oh.
You know, he said it.
I remember he used to say that to Jesse Ventura every week.
I know my 7th grade history teacher would always tell me that. Like, oh man, I almost got a B. He's like, almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Yes.
But instead of me saying a B to make myself sound smart, it was actually a C.
Yeah, well, yeah, I kind of had that situation.
I almost passed. I just failed. Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
I almost got an A, but then I got a C.
I almost passed, but then I failed miserably.
Yeah.
See, taking a look at some of these other playoff matchups. I mean, certainly Devils Rangers would be exciting to watch. I think Maple Leafs Lightning would be really exciting to watch, and I think
that would be a hell of a series.
Oh, one hell of a series. I think it's a series that actually Toronto can finally get some playoff mojo because Tampa Bay has showed some really strong, long cold streaks, especially defensively, allowing goals. And, you got to question their ability to get back up and take a trophy that was taken away from them last season.
I'll tell you what, though, Rob, tonight that the Tampa Bay Lightning made a statement.
Yeah, they're back.
Yeah, they beat the Devils 4-1, and that's not easy to do.
Sure.
And the Devils are real good at home, so that's something you got to give them a heck of a lot of credit. So I mean, I was feeling awfully good about the Leafs maybe beating Tampa Bay this year, but after seeing the game tonight, seeing what happened in the game tonight, that's
right.
The Maple Leafs had to be sitting there saying, "Oh no," and their fans had to be sitting there saying, "Oh, seriously?"
Now, conversely, the team that beat the Lightning last year to hoist the cup is, has gotten themselves in a wild card position, wild card 2. So would it truly be an upset if they were to beat the Vegas Golden Knights? But it would still be, the second wild card versus the number 1 team in the West.
Who do you think would be favored in that series in Vegas?
I think Vegas would be favored.
I think the Avalanche would be favored because the Avalanche lately have been playing some real good hockey.
That is true if they're sharp, but I mean, certainly, and recency bias, sure. I mean,
they got Rantanen back. They've got most of their guys back. It's unfortunate that they just lost one of their guys for the season, which that kind of sucked that happened. I can't remember who it was that they lost, but they just lost somebody for the season, one of their better players. But they're still going to be real. They're going to be real tough.
What team are you talking, Brad?
The Avalanche.
The Avalanche lost one of their players. Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, they lost somebody. I have to look it up. I had heard it. I forgot who it was, but they lost. They lost a very important player.
Well, I thought you might have been reflecting on the Vegas side in terms of them losing once again Mark Stone. Brian, I mean, that could be an invaluable loss we saw last year.
Is Mark Stone going to play again this year, or is he just out till the playoffs?
I think he's just out till the playoffs, and I think he's definitely going to be back by then, and he's definitely always sorely missed. Pending any setbacks, I think he's
okay.
He's on time to be back for the playoffs.
Arturi Lehtinen is the one that got hurt.
Got you. He was key in their cup run last year.
Yeah, he's the one that got, as I said, one of their very important players got hurt. But Lehtinen's supposed to be back for the playoffs. They're saying middle of the first round.
Better to get these bumps and bruises out of the way.
Yep. But the Avalanche, I wouldn't want to play them in the first round of the playoffs. I don't care what their record is during the season. They've been playing a lot better lately.
Mm-hmm.
Now that they've snuck back into the playoffs, that's got to be a terrible nightmare for all the teams in the Western Conference.
Brian, what would you make of a potential Minnesota Wild versus Winnipeg Jets series?
I think that could be another interesting series. I mean, Winnipeg has slipped quite a bit. And I thought Minnesota made some intriguing trades at the deadline.
Right.
Bringing in some depth there with Marcus Johansson, and they made a couple other moves. I'm blanking on them, but that's the one.
My man Ryan Reeves is on that team now.
You pointed him out last week during the deadline, though. You were rattling off. You were like kind of pleased with what Minnesota did at the deadline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm not. I think that's going to be another 7-game series. I think that's another one that's going to be hard fought because Minnesota, again, is, I know Brad's not big on their defense, but I think defensively they're better than they are offensively, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
I think they're stronger on the defensive side of the puck. I'm still not sold on the goaltending aspect that they have, but I think that's
where Winnipeg has a big advantage.
Absolutely. Connor Hellebuck is a much better goaltender. And
I mean, they still have Kyle Connor. They still have Sheffley.
They have a lot. Pierre-Luc Dubois found a little bit of his scoring touch again.
Yes, he has.
I give the edge defensively to Minnesota. I give the edge offensively to Winnipeg. I think this is going to be a similar series to what LA and Seattle could be, as far as being gritty, being blue collar, and being very hard fought. Minnesota defensively has to be strong. They can't give up any odd man rushes to Winnipeg because they have a lot of talent on offense that could really do some damage. And again, not sold on the goaltending in Minnesota.
No,
To me, Winnipeg is a much better team there, and I think they. I don't want to say easily, but I think they have the edge in that series.
The problem with Minnesota's a screwy team, and it's hard to predict how they're going to play. That's the problem. They really kind of are. They're a very strange team. Sometimes they look like they're going to win the Stanley Cup, and then other times they look terrible. And it's just who's going to show up from game to game. Actually, with them, it's more like who's going to show up from period to period.
Yeah, but they're winning hockey games. They're figuring out ways to win. That's what matters at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, they've got offensive talent, so that and they're very gritty. So I would wonder now who would have the home ice advantage with those two if they play.
Wild
Minnesota.
Jets.
Yeah,
it'd be Minnesota. Yep.
Minnesota.
Winnipeg at home is significantly tougher to beat at home than Minnesota is to beat at home. But Minnesota does have some guys that can score. We know that they're a dangerous offensive team too. So that would be a pretty good matchup. I would have to go with Winnipeg just because I always go with goaltending in the playoffs.
It's so easy to do, but the three top point getters for Minnesota right now are Kirill Kaprizov, no shock there, with 74 points, Matt Zuccarello with 62, and Eriksson Ek with 49. So there's a bit of a drop off between 2 and 3, but goal scoring is
you
pretty
had to
close.
you had to bring up Zuccarello, didn't you?
Yeah, him and his 22 goals this year for Minnesota.
We got a third round pick for him.
But if you want to go a little bit deeper, they get a little bit better on defense getting Klingberg. I think he's been pretty good since going over to Minnesota.
Yeah,
Matt Boldy's having a great sophomore season. Sophomore, yep. 19 goals for him. Bringing in Marcus Johansson, bringing in his depth. Sam Steele's par for the course. But some of these younger guys, they got to step up a little bit. You got to get the big one. And I don't actually see he's on here, so he may not even be up yet. But Ryan Hartman,
the party's over. The party's over now in Chicago. The Bruins just tied at 1-1.
Oh boy!
With 5 minutes to go in the second period. Oh my God! And that goal was from the blue line.
Sounds like somebody got
through a screen. Looks like DeBrusk tipped it, so it wasn't the goalie's fault. Yeah, it was through a screen and DeBrusk tipped it. Okay.
I like Minnesota, but I like Winnipeg a little bit better. I like their offense a little bit better. And to Brad's point, goaltending is everything in the playoffs. If you can ride that hot goaltender, you ride him as long as you can.
Sure.
Yeah, and Hellebuck has proven that he can win games. That's the one thing he really can do. So, we'll see. I mean, I think if you took the forward, if you compared the forwards, I think Minnesota has a little bit more with the forwards. Defensemen are pretty equal. Big edge for the Jets in goal.
Agreed.
Looking at this other matchup, this is another dream matchup. Dallas Stars, Edmonton Oilers. Potential humdinger talking about strength versus weakness and weakness versus strength. Out of all these series, maybe ignoring potential.
I think Edmonton beats Dallas.
You think Edmonton beats Dallas? Interesting.
Yes.
No way.
Yes. Yeah.
No way.
I think.
I was on the flip side. I was thinking a potential sweep for Dallas potentially.
Yeah. No, I think I look at Edmonton. I look at Edmonton playing Dallas the way Edmonton played against the Flames last year. Okay, because that was a similar match. That to me is a similar matchup. Because last year the Flames were a real good team and they were a real good defensive team as well, and Edmonton just turned up the Jets and killed the Flames. And I think they do the same thing to Dallas.
No way. No way. I give the edge to Edmonton offensively, but I think Dallas is a much better defensive team than Edmonton is. And I think, believe it or not,
I agree with you.
I
But
like
think they score
Ottinger.
a
I
lot.
like Ottinger better than Jack Campbell. I think Ottinger is a much better goaltender than Jack Campbell. And it's like you just said with Winnipeg, you got to go with the
No,
goaltending, right?
You're
I think they got the better
do.
goaltending.
You do. The thing is though, when Edmonton gets rolling, I mean, look what they did to Boston the other night.
Yeah.
They were down 3-0 and scored 4 goals in the third period against Boston. I mean, when that team gets rolling, they're almost unstoppable. And I could see them. They'd be a tough team to play in a short series.
I don't think it's going to be a short series. I think that'll be a 5 or 6 game series. But Dallas is an incredibly dangerous team, and they're very good. Their best aspect is their defense and their goaltending.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
They're very physical. And if you get physical with Draisaitl and McDavid, you knock both of them out of the equation. So once they're done, that offense is shut down. I like Zach Hyman, but if you shut down those two, he's ineffective.
What happens if you start taking penalties, though?
I mean, obviously, you don't want to take penalties.
Better not. That team. What's their power play number now? 31, 32%.
Edmonton.
That's pretty much unheard of.
Well, yeah, when you have McDavid and Draisaitl on the same unit.
Yeah. They're almost unstoppable.
It's like Tampa Bay when you put Nikita Kucherov and Steve Stamkos on that same unit.
Oh yeah, and Victor Hedman at the point. Yeah, and Braden Point. Yeah.
But I can't agree with Edmonton beating Dallas. I think Dallas is a way better team.
I mean, you're not wrong about anything you said, but I just think Edmonton's gonna beat them this year.
I think they get ousted in 5 games.
30.
And then you see Connor McDavid. 36%?
No, 31.6%.
Oh, I was gonna say that's.
Yeah, but 31.6 is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Just a frame of reference, second place is Tampa Bay at 25.64.
Oh. Yeah, you can't take penalties.
And Toronto's 25.63.
Yeah, and Edmonton is.
But again, you can't really. I mean, you can, but to me, you can't really compare what you do in the regular season to what you do in the postseason.
Yeah, Edmonton has shown that they're a strong regular season, poor postseason. Dallas is better for the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They got a better makeup for it.
Well, they have gotten to the finals, which Edmonton has not done. Okay, true. I mean, I can give you that. Yeah, I'll give you that. But I do think Edmonton is definitely due to take that next step. I mean, I saw what they did.
Equally as probable.
I saw what they did to Boston. I saw what they did to Toronto. Okay. I saw earlier in the season them come back against the Rangers down 3-0 at the Garden and win 4-3. And the Rangers couldn't even get it into overtime. You know, I mean, that team is just they're really hard to hold down.
I don't disagree with you.
And they're not a one-line team either. They've got guys who can score.
They're not. They're very deep offensively. But again,
they're not great defensively. I agree with you 100%.
I can't compare what they're doing right now in the regular season to what they could do in the offseason, in the postseason. Because instead of playing Boston one night, you got to play them 6 nights in a row, possibly 7. It's just, the series can go.
If Boston played Edmonton, Boston would wear them down.
Oh, absolutely, they would. And I think they did a little bit in that game until the third period, and Edmonton tied that game up. Then Edmonton had all the momentum.
The way Dallas could beat them is if they hit them and wear them down, then okay. But Edmonton is just they're tough. They're a tough team to handle. They're so explosive now, and their goaltending is still a lot better than it's been in the past. For sure.
Dude, from last year to this year, Jack Campbell is night and day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying Jack Campbell is the second coming of Bernie Perron, okay? But he's he's a pretty solid goalie. I mean, you're not going to get a bunch of cheap goals with him out there.
I like of all the goaltenders you could have gone with, you went with Bernie Perrant. You got to respect that, especially coming from a Rangers fan.
Well, Bernie Perrant stole 2 Stanley Cups for the Philadelphia Flyers. He absolutely stole 2 Stanley Cups because talent-wise, the Flyers were no match for the Boston Bruins or the Buffalo Sabres in the Stanley Cup Finals. But Bernie Perrant was so good, it was ridiculous. That's why
They had some goal scorers. They had some goal scorers, though.
They did. But
yeah, you're right.
So did Buffalo. And so did the
Boston
Bruins.
was strong. That's one of the best teams ever.
Yeah, that Bruin team in 73-74, man, that was a stacked team.
Very stacked.
Yeah, but Gilles Gilbert was not Bernie Perrant. That was the difference. I don't remember who Buffalo's goalie was. Who was their goalie? Dave Dryden back then?
Oh, geez,
it may have been Dave Dryden back then, if I'm not mistaken.
I should know that.
Not good enough.
I don't.
Well, we talked about the teams that are in position, right?
How about the Rangers and Devils, guys? That would be a hell of a series too.
Yeah. You want to let's get into that. Let's talk about it. That does come into fruition.
Devils in a sweep.
Nah, that's not going to happen.
Devils in a sweep. What Rangers in a sweep? Because that ain't happening either.
No. No. That'll probably be. You're probably going to be looking at Rangers in 6.
I think it's.
I think the Rangers get. I think the Rangers get a game in Jersey. The first 2 games they get 1, and then the Rangers win all the games at the Garden.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that. I mean, that's another series that's going to be. I think that's going to be more of an offensive series than anything. I think you're really going to see 2 high-powered offenses really just start showing off. And
the Rangers started. Listen, the Rangers have been scoring goals lately.
So the Devils.
Yeah, well, the Devils have been doing it all season. The Rangers, it looks like Kane and Tarasenko are finally starting to hit their stride. Kane scored again tonight. He scored on a slap shot from about 40 feet out. I mean, it was an absolute laser, and it couldn't have been more than about 6 inches off the ice too, which makes it almost impossible to stop it.
Is it bad
especially
that
the screen?
I want to watch the Rangers, but I don't want to see Patrick Kane in a Rangers uniform. It might hurt my heart.
Oh, it makes my heart. It kind of makes my heart skip a beat when I see him.
You wanted it all season and it happened. There's special about that.
I've been waiting all season for him to come there, and I kept hearing you guys say no, he's going to go to Dallas. And then when they got Tarasenko, you guys were telling me no, and I kept telling you, listen, it can still happen. They're going to have to get 2 teams to eat salary in order for it to happen, and then they had to go. Then they had to play with 16 guys for. They had to play with 18 guys for like 2 weeks.
Right.
And dress 5 defensemen and 11 forwards. I mean, that was insane, and they were losing almost every game. They basically gave away second place to get Kane.
Right.
So
see, I think the key difference in a potential Devils Rangers series is in net. I mean, has the Devils gotten fine play from Vanacek? Absolutely. He's posted up a 248 goals against with a 910 save percentage. But I give the check mark to Igor, man. I mean, he's got a little higher goals against, but same save percentage at 910, and more of the experience in the playoffs last year is going to really benefit him.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I also think that the Rangers are just going to be getting better and better each game. They got 15 games now for Kane and Tarasenko to really fit in, and you can see it every game. They're getting better and better. So it's going to happen. They're going to hit their peak probably with about 5 games to go. So hopefully, that they can win a series against that team. That's a good team, the Devils. One thing the Rangers better not do is try to go end to end with them, because if they do that, they're going to lose.
Sure.
Because the Devils are faster than they are. That is one thing that anybody who can't who can't admit to that, if you're a Ranger fan, you have to admit that the Devils are faster than the Rangers. The Rangers have to slow them down in the neutral zone. Otherwise, they'll get eaten up.
Yep, certainly. Good final point there, Brad. Now, these could be what matchups we get, but there are still some teams, some dark horse candidates for those last remaining wild card spots that could crash this party or mess up these brackets. So we're going to move on to our shootout segment that's going to be addressing a lot of these players. Tonight's shootout is being brought to you by Alonze Travel, specializing in creating the vacation of your dreams at Disney, Universal, or wherever your heart calls you. Let their talented team of travel experts create a custom vacation for you without any of the stress. Tell them A2D Radio sent you. Alonze, let's go. AlonzeTravel.com/take the trip. So, Brian, I'm going to start with you. Let's give it to the East. Let's look at teams that are currently on the outside looking in. Who could creep into that wild card spot in the Eastern Conference, Brian?
Okay, so don't be surprised if you see a team like Ottawa maybe start to really make some noise. I've been big on them all year. They started to really find their stride of late. Went out, got Jacob Chikrin, really shored up that defensive side. Chikrin's fit in really well with that team. So they're a team I'm definitely keeping an eye on. Only 6 points out of the playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that Celsius is starting to act up.
They were a little closer too. They took 2 straight losses on their Western Canada trip, but they'd won 3 or 4 before that since getting Chikrin at the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think, I agree with you, Brian. I have them as my dark horse. I think they could make a push despite being 6 points back. Unfortunately, it's going to be a bit of an uphill climb. I looked at the rest of the 16 games remaining. 11 of them are against teams in a playoff spot, including a brutal stretch against the Oilers, Avs, Leafs, and Bruins.
Yeah, they got the Panthers. They got the Hurricanes
Yeah.
twice in April. They got the Lightning. I mean, these are games that they're going to have to win. This is going to be a tough stretch for them through the next 2 weeks.
Right.
Colorado,
Not that they can't. Not that they can't. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
like you said, they have been playing better, certainly getting themselves back, digging them out of the early season hole that they dug for themselves. It may come down to, too, when they're facing these teams, are these like a Boston Bruins team that's clearly got the number 1 seed locked up? Are they maybe resting some guys? That'll be a question.
No, absolutely. I mean, just look at just the rest of the month of March, just as an example. I know you really went over this, Rob, but
Sure.
they're playing Edmonton now. When I checked, it was a 2-2 tie. Colorado, Toronto, Pittsburgh on the road, Boston on the road, back home to play Tampa, back on the road to play the Devils. Then they got the Panthers at home and the Flyers at home and Toronto at home to really finish out March going into April. So, like you said, it's going to be a tough stretch. If this team is going to really show that intestinal fortitude to finally make that push, this is going to be that run they're going to need to go on. And this is exactly why you bring in a guy like Jacob Chikrin to shore up that defensive side because of this little push here.
Right.
Because like you said, the majority of this is against playoff teams. And not just against playoff teams, top-tier Stanley Cup contending playoff teams. You got Boston, the perennial Stanley Cup contender. You got Tampa Bay twice, Florida twice, Carolina twice. These aren't teams that you're going to just sleep on and say, oh, yeah, they're just going to make the playoffs. No, these are contenders. So you're really going to see what
you're made of.
This team in Ottawa is really made of.
The playoffs start now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's make or break for Ottawa.
Right. And I don't want to steal thunder away from Brad with maybe a potential other dark horse here, but Ottawa is facing a lot of the teams that they'd be competing with that are in between themselves and the Islanders. Brad, who's your dark horse for the Eastern Conference?
Buffalo.
Ooh, there you go. Yeah.
Buffalo. I like Buffalo. I took a look at their schedule, and they play the Flyers quite a few times. They end the season with the Blue Jackets, which shouldn't be too bad.
Wow.
But they've got a lot. And the big game. This could be for the playoffs, guys. They play Ottawa on April 13th.
Yep. April
Second to
13th.
last game, the second to last game of the season, they play each other. So that could be an interesting matchup. They play Florida, as I said, and they close with the Blue Jackets. They I think half their games are against non-playoff teams.
Wow.
You know, and they also play the Islanders. I'll read you their schedule.
Go for it.
Yeah, for Buffalo, it's not too bad. Okay, starting tomorrow. Okay, and this is after they just beat the Maple Leafs on Monday night. They got the Capitals in Washington. The Capitals aren't good anymore. They're just not. They play the Flyers. They play the Bruins at home. Then they got the Predators at home. Then they got the Devils at home. Then they're in Long Island. Then they play the Canadiens at home. Then they got to play the Rangers at home. And then they play the Flyers again down here. They play the Panthers. They play the Red Wings. Then they're home for the Hurricanes. Then they're at the Rangers. They're at the Devils. And then the Senators and Blue Jackets. They're home for the Senators and on the road for the Blue Jackets. That's not
they're home against the Senators. Okay.
Yeah, that is not a horrific schedule for the Buffalo Sabres at all. There's a lot of games that they should actually win, and there's plenty of winnable games on that schedule. So if they can raise their level of play, they've shown that they can do it too. I mean that was a huge win for them in Toronto the other night.
Yeah, I mean this Buffalo team has shocked a lot of people this year. I believe I'm one of them. I didn't expect them to be as good as they are. You know, the young guys are really starting to push through.
Well, you had to figure one of these years they're gonna get there. I mean, they've had 1 million first-round picks. You know,
just like
they're all playing. They're all playing. They've all been getting better and better and better. It's just a matter of somebody actually, taking control and being a dominant player. And Tage Thompson has been the man on that team.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he has. But just like the Los Angeles Angels, one of the years they got to be good, right?
Yeah, but the Angels, the Angels. I don't know about the Angels. They just don't.
A topic for another show.
That's more like that. They're more like the Edmonton Oilers.
But you guys made good arguments for this team potentially usurping the either the Islanders or the Penguins for one of those wild card spots.
Well, I couldn't go with Ottawa when you guys were going with Ottawa because I would have taken Ottawa, but you guys took Ottawa, so I had to find somebody else just to get in a good argument.
Final say. Does it stay like it is, Penguins and Islanders, or do one of these teams take one of them out?
I could see the Islanders falling out of it. I could see the Penguins falling out of it. I could definitely see either one of them. The Penguins just lost.
Crosby, number 2 star in the NHL. He's trying to fight for him to stay on.
Yeah, I know he is, but you know what? They lost to Montreal.
Yeah, that can't happen. That can't happen
at this time of the season. No, I mean.
That's mentally weak.
Yeah, you can't do that. You cannot allow, especially after getting a big win against the Rangers and all their fans opening up their mouths and talking a lot of shit, and then they go ahead and get beat tonight by the Canadiens. Are you guys all talking in Pittsburgh now, or are you going to shut up now? I mean, the referees handed you that game on Sunday against the Rangers with that ridiculous penalty on Panarin. Yeah, he tripped the guy, but he tripped the guy when he was lying down on the ice behind the net, okay, in the offensive zone. There was no reason to call a penalty on that. There was no scoring opportunity taken away. And that's the only time you should be calling a penalty in overtime.
Right.
I think what makes that loss tonight worse for Pittsburgh is the fact they gave up 4 unanswered goals to Montreal.
In the first period.
Oof.
After getting out to an early 2-0 lead.
Yep.
Yeah, and the fact that Montreal gave up 8 goals to the Avalanche last night.
Yeah.
8 goals.
8 goals. Yeah, a snowman.
I mean, this Pittsburgh team has been
up and down
shaky all season long. Yeah, they've been shaky all season long. maybe it's time for Pittsburgh to start turning the page.
They never will do that.
But at some point you have to.
I
I'm
know.
not saying I'm not saying trade. I'm not
they
saying
just-
trade anybody, but
But they
maybe you
just
start
signed
letting certain
Malkin.
guys go.
They just signed Malkin this year to a 4-year deal, and they just signed Letang just got signed for 3 more years. So they're not their plan is not to do that. Their plan is that they're going to keep as long as those guys are on the team, they're going to try to keep building around them and win. And I don't think that that's possible anymore. I think they're still good, but they're not good enough to win a cup.
No,
No,
fair
I
enough.
mean
Fair enough.
you can keep those guys around because they're franchise guys, but you start really looking at bringing in some younger players in some key spots. Maybe you let some of these other guys go. Maybe you trade Rickard Raquel. I know they just signed him, but maybe you traded Rickard Raquel. Maybe you traded Jake Gensel. Maybe Brian Rust, who I actually kind of believe is a free agent at the end of the year. But I mean, there's ways they can figure it out. But we gotta start wrapping this up here.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's quickly get out to the West. Your dark horse candidate, Brian.
My dark horse candidate is going to be. Give me 1 second as I bring up the standings again.
You're too slow, Brad. You get to go first. Brad gets to go. Hey, we took Ottawa away from him. He should have the first say in the West.
All right. Fair enough.
All right. You know what? I got to be honest with you guys. I mean, really, who the Flames? Maybe
it's tougher. You could also say it's
the
going to
West.
stay as is.
It's tougher. I don't think anything's going to change in the West. They all have big. These teams are all 6 points out, and none of them have shown any consistency to get back in it. The only team that could do it is Tom. You're right about them being too slow. You're absolutely right.
He's talking about me.
Oh, okay.
You got to be quicker than that.
Okay. Okay. No, the Flames are a slow team too. By the way, they don't have a lot of foot speed. That's why I thought you were talking about them. But they do have they do have Jacob Markstrom, and he's for all that's worth. He's a pretty good goalie, and maybe if they can get on a run, which they haven't really been able to do. They're only 6 games over 500. Maybe if they can get on a run, they can sneak into the playoffs. I don't see anything changing out west. Gun to my head, I couldn't tell you that anybody. I don't like anybody to break up that division. I do see that Pittsburgh and the Islanders are in trouble right now, especially the Islanders. No Matthew Barzal. That's a killer.
Very killer. Brian, you got your team?
Yeah, I think it stays the same too. I like Nashville to possibly maybe make some noise being 6 points back, but I don't think they're good enough. I think Winnipeg and Edmonton are just too strong for Nashville to really catch up. And I haven't looked at these teams' remaining schedules yet, but the only thing working in Nashville's favor is these teams have 3 or 4 games in hand. So they're only at 64. Winnipeg and Edmonton are 67, 68 respectively.
Right. Nashville's got games in hand. They're 7-2-1 over their last 10. Current 2-game winning streak coming into tonight, and they're about to make it a 3-gamer.
They're ahead of Detroit right now.
Yeah, 2-0. I think there's like 2:40 left to go in that game. So I think of any potential team, it could be Nashville because they got the goaltending. To your guys' point earlier.
Yes, they do.
Absolutely. We're getting the wrap up. That's not a good sign, Anthony.
Yeah, right.
Usually people are begging us, no, stay on later. And I'm like, fuck you, I gotta go to bed.
And then it's like, wrap it up, B.
Wrap it. What's the box say?
Wrap it up, B.
All right. Brian, wrap it up. Hot take of the week.
Hot take of the week. Ottawa goes 3-1 in the next 4 games.
Nice. And it's a tough stretch, too. That would be key for their playoff chances. Brad, you got a hot take?
Yes. The Devils are going to win the Metro regular season.
I like it.
Just the regular season, not the
like
playoffs. But I could see them winning the division, and the Rangers playing Carolina in the first round. And that would be my.
This is
that
what
would
you
be,
want to happen.
This is what I want
This is
to
what you
happen.
want to
Exactly.
happen.
Exactly. I admit it. I admit it. And then we beat Carolina in 5.
It'd be the perfect story too, because they'd be all full of themselves, Metro Division champs, they're young hotheads, and then they get chumped in the first round of the playoffs.
That would be kind of funny. It would be funny if they they would end up having to play. They would end up having to play who in the? They would have to play the Penguins probably, if it ended now. I could see the Penguins with their experience. Maybe no way. I'm thinking about it. Nah, the Penguins can't beat the Devils. That's impossible.
John Johnson chimes in right before we get off. I'm just going to say that will fans stop crying about Couturier coming back. Stop being soft. He's a grown-ass man. He wants to play. Let him play. I'm with you. I'm with you, Johnny.
I'm against, all because I want him healthy.
Yeah.
I want him 100%.
I think he should play because you know what? I think he needs to play just for his own confidence.
Ranger, I like that. Ranger stars in the final. That's I have equal same that's who my pick is at this point. But that'll be a topic for another show. The last take of the day is something earlier I said in the show. If you're just joining us, Chris Pronger will be the president of hockey operations with Danny B as his full-time GM for the 23-24 season. You heard it here first.
From your mouth to God's ears.
Save this reel, Tommy. If this comes true, this shit's gold. Timestamp it. 3:14, 10:34 in the PM Eastern Standard Time. Let's roll.
201, and we'll say 201 and 10. 201:10. That's the marker.
All right, boys. It's been a blast. Special thanks, Frank Bestby, for setting this up. Matt Sudi will be back hopefully with us next week. Brian Daly also handling the producer and staying on hosting the whole show despite a long-ass day. You're a trooper. Brad, strong points as always. Bam, thank you ever so much for the comments. Love you. See you next week, Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. It's been my pleasure. Rob Hovia signing out for the Hockey Happy Hour. Peace.